it's frozen. Congress is frozen. When I look at all of this, and I said this in the beginning, you can believe that both of these things are true. That McCarthy's a swamp creature, and I've disliked McCarthy since before it was cool for the people who think that populism is the same thing as conservatism. A lot of us have hated McCarthy, or not hated, but disliked him for a very long time. And you can also think that Gates is basically the younger version of McCarthy, because he is. He's voted for massive spending. He voted for all the deficit spending under the last administration. He's rubber stamped every spending bill. He always is like, oh, I take no lobby or PAC money. That's because he's in one of the safest, if not the safest district in the country. That's why. Because he doesn't have to take he doesn't have any Democrats to vote against him. I mean, that's it. But you would think that he would have more legislative accomplishments for that than he does, because he doesn't have any. I mean, feel free to regale me with all of them, but he doesn't have them. Now, granted, McCarthy there were things he didn't do right. One of the stupidest things that McCarthy did, and I wrote about this, I actually included it in part of a newsletter that I sent out at the time, was when he included this poison pill in the speaker thing. That told me he wasn't a great strategist and not to expect good things from him. You know what I'm talking about? So let's go back to when McCarthy was actually selected as speaker. Okay, finally, after 15 rounds. Wasn't it like 15 rounds? So when he was finally picked as the speaker, in this whole agreement that he made, there was in this poison bill. It's a poison pill. It was this motion to vacate, and anybody in the majority party could introduce a motion to vacate. And that's exactly what happened. And McCarthy had to cut a lot of deals to get his speakership. When you have to cut that many deals to get your speakership, you're not going to be a strong speaker. It was never in the cards for him to be a strong speaker. I don't know who thought he was going to be a strong speaker. It was never in the cards. 15 rounds, and you had to make all these deals just to get it. You have a razor-thin majority in the House. You have 5 seats. Let me tell everybody something. I don't like this, but this is the reality of the situation. When you have a 5-seat majority in the House, don't expect ultra-conservative stuff to happen. I mean, yes, that's the reality of it. Does that make, Kane, do you think that's the reality of the situation? Absolutely. Does that make you a rhino traitor for acknowledging that?
No. Just factual.
Because that's what's being said by, I think honestly online, you have a handful of people who don't know how their government works. And then you have, I think it's honestly foreign agents that are driving it. I really do. I totally believe this because there's a lot of brand new accounts out there. Lots of them. And they all say the same thing. But this is the reality. You're not a rhino for acknowledging that the Republican Party. Are you a rhino for acknowledging that a boy a boy is a boy and a girl is a girl? Again, same damn thing. It's just a different variable. We've got to stop whether it's, transgender politics or transgender gender. Stop it. You have a 5-seat majority in the House. You're not going to get great stuff. You got to win more elections. Oh my gosh. But then you got the people like some of my family who are like, well, that's what we're always told. I got to tell you, I tore into a family member of mine last night because this is what makes me mad. I love you, older generation. God love you. Just not some of the ones in my family. Because they get mad and then they caps lock. They're recent Democrats. This is why I get a little frustrated. They're recent Democrats who literally just started voting Republican. And so they have all the feels that comes with that, right? But whenever anything goes wrong with the GOP, whose fault is it? Mine. I get caps locked 6 ways to Sunday. Well, Dana, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't want to have to ban you from my personal page, but I think I might have to. Are you kidding me? I don't want to be in a family Facebook group with you. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be in a discussion. That's what all of it. And it was all caps lock. I just don't want to deal with it. I don't want to hear it from them. But I feel like there's some of that involved maybe. Because you have some people who are, I think new to conservatism or new to the Republican Party. Republicans operate way different than Democrats do. But this is this is a slim, razor-thin majority, 5 seats. And so he was going to have to, I don't know what the argument that Gates has that ousting him or ousting whoever it was there is going to get better results for conservatives. You have a 5-seat majority. Now, we're going to talk about the replacements and all that. In fact, Chip Roy's going to be joining us later on in the program. But that's the situation. And like I said, my family that caps locks me, they always like to go, well, we are always told the same thing. If we just vote more, well, it doesn't change. Well, how often have you gone out to actually bitching on social media is not the same thing as canvassing or phone banking. It's not the same thing as donating to a candidate. I do a lot of stuff locally. You guys don't even know about it. And I donate to a lot of candidates. And if I can't do it, then I try to help people who can, with different political issues. It's that important. You have to be plugged in. You have to do it. It doesn't matter how busy you are. Everybody's busy. Everybody's busy. In fact, one of the women who is the most active in a phone bank, she's a widow. She's a single mother. She has 4 kids. The youngest is 12. And she's out there doing all this stuff every day. And she works a part-time job on the weekends. So everybody's busy. But you cannot ever use that excuse to be too busy for the business of the republic. You would rather have, as Jefferson said, too much responsibility than too little to attend to. Now, I don't think that, I think that both of these dudes are horrible strategists. I think that Gates is an absolute turd strategist, and so is McCarthy. Because, as I said, McCarthy got himself in this spot. He cut all these deals so he could get this speakership. He made all these promises so he could get speakership. I mean, who sits there and is like, yeah, I'll go ahead and agree to a motion to vacate if you get mad at me, want to have a tantrum? Okay. What kind of stuff? What is that? Are you serious, dude? What is that? But that's how it had to work because who else? They went 15 rounds. Nobody else wanted it. Steve Scalise was about ready to kick somebody if they suggested him again. And then now you got Gates. Gates has no idea what comes next. Gates doesn't even know what the hell goes on half the time. He spends most of his time in the middle of a press scrum. He looks for the cameras. All these people singing his praises. I'm going to y'all to sit down and you tell me seriously, what are his legislative accomplishments? Go ahead. Fill me in. I'm all ears. Go ahead. Tell me how this helps conservatives more. Taking all the attention off of the Hunter Biden investigation, taking all the attention off the Biden family scandals, taking all the attention off the border. No, you know what's going to happen? This is what's going to happen. Democrats are rubbing their hands. I mean, hell, you could not have positioned this better unless you could not have made this happen better for Democrats if Gates was a plant.